Hey, black people finally got cash reparations. I'm dead serious. Let's talk about how much money they got and what they did with the money. Coming up. Yo, this is Black Ice. Welcome back to the Black Narrative. Here to talk about reparations. Yes, I'm serious. Some black people got a check. And so we're gonna go into the details of how much money they got and what they did with the money. So I found this article, came out about a week ago, and it's labeled House Repairs, a Car, Grandkids, where Evanston's reparations payments are going. So these people in Evanston, Illinois receive cash reparations, a $25,000 check. So he live here. Well, we're gonna read over the details of this article a little bit. So Kenneth Whiteman, which is I think this guy here on the far right. So Kenneth Whiteman, his parents moved there from South Carolina, part of an exodus of 6 million black people fleeing this Jim Crow South over a 60-year period known as the Great Migration. Yes, I put emphasis on the fleeing part because I see people talk about fleeing so much on social media, referring to immigrants coming over to America, but we flee too. Like, I was born in Mississippi. I have a ton of family in Chicago. They flee from the South to Chicago as they flee from South Carolina to Illinois. Like, it happens. I hate when people try to use that in an argument. But anyway, by the time Wyman was born in the 1940s, Evanston was the state's largest black suburb, and 95% of the city's black population lived in the Fifth Ward. The concentration of black residents in that neighborhood, however, was no accident. The city began pushing black residents out of neighborhoods outside the Fifth Ward through targeted zoning in 1919. We did a live stream about this about 3 years ago, talking about the summer of 1919. It was called Red Summer, and it was a wild time. Anyway, later, federal agencies facilitated racially restrictive housing rules and banking discrimination, discouraging lenders from making risky loans in predominantly black neighborhoods such as the Fifth Ward. In 1969, after the Federal Fair Housing Act prohibited housing discrimination based on race, Evanston city officials passed local fair housing ordinances. But decades later, the Fifth Ward had the lowest property values in the city, median income below the city's average, and Evanston's only neighborhood with areas classified as food deserts. Another live stream that we did about 3 years ago, how they purposely don't put fresh grocery stores, fresh produce, or anything in your neighborhood, and you're forced to get food from like Dollar General and Dollar Tree. Sad. So that year, yep, classified by the 2019 report. So that year, the city set out to create the country's first reparations program to atone for a history of racial discrimination. Since the program began in 2022, Evanston has awarded $25,000 checks and in-kind financial assistance to more than 200 people. That's not a lot of people, but it is an ongoing program. Moving on. So in May, a conservative legal group sued the city, saying it was discrimination for them to be handing out reparations. Not surprised. And ruling from a federal judge is forthcoming, so that stuff is still in litigation. Wyman was part of the first cohort of recipients selected by age. To be eligible, a person had to be black and prove they lived in the city between 1919 and 1969. The period when state-sponsored segregation and redlining was rampant, or be a direct descendant of someone who did. So they use black with a capital B. So I'm just going to assume that it was only black Americans who got these checks, and they had to prove that they lived there between 1919 and 1969. Excuse me. I'm very fortunate and blessed to receive the reparations. I think it could have been more, but I'm happy. Wyman is one of the 3 Evanston residents who sat down NBC News to discuss the experience of growing up in the Fifth Ward, applying for and receiving the reparations. That's Mr. Wyman right there. So another person that received reparations is Ron Butler, and he's 78, so around the same age, and he grew up in the Fifth Ward. But in 1976, he and his wife Cheryl decided to move to South Evanston to a modest 2-story house in a residential neighborhood where they live now. The afternoon sunlight passed into the living room through bay windows and stained glass panel, a roses he made by hand. All right. It was very unusual for a black family to move into this part of town, he said. And even now, there's just one or just a few black families on their street. As soon as we moved to the house, all the for sale signs started going up down the street, of course. A lot of neighbors didn't want us, he said, especially the older neighbors. They asked the people who sold the house to us, why did you sell to a black family? White flight, right? But moving down here, get to the money. He said the check came right on time, he said. His house needed windows replaced and a new furnace with central air. So he and his wife both pulled their $25,000 checks. The money goes fast. It meant something to me because it gave me a little help. Evanston is a very expensive place to live. I always say they can keep the mule, but give me the 40 acres. Give me the 40 acres in Evanston. I hear that. So him and his wife both received reparation checks. They pulled together $50,000, and with their money, uh, new furnace and place of windows, and central air in the house. And this is Miss Hilton, 73. Now with hers, with her money, she said, yeah, she used the money to buy a car and put the rest in the bank. She said for her grandkids and great grandkids. She's still a real estate broker, but spends most of her time volunteering with children in juvenile detention or formerly incarcerated adults transitioning back to society, as well as taking care of her family. She said the $25,000 is just a drop in the bucket, a common complaint among interview subjects. So there it is. So they got their money, $25,000 checks. And they said it went fast. That's not a lot of money, but y'all let me know what you think. You think this was a victory? Do you think was it enough? That wasn't enough. I did do a little bit of research. So far, I didn't do a deep dive, but there were at least 6,000 black residents in that area during that time, like between 1919 and 1940. So I'm sure more people will be receiving the checks. I just don't know how many are going to receive the checks. But anyway, but how much you think it? What I mean, but I guess the answer for you, like, how much is enough? What amount is fair? You know. Oh, it was one other detail I meant to share with y'all, because the money had to come from somewhere, right? So I found out where the money came from. There you go. Go back here. Yeah. The $20 million program funded by the city's cannabis sales tax and real estate tax is set to continue for another 5 years, with plans to expand to economic development and education-based initiatives. So, in my mind, you're paying for your own reparations, basically. Like, especially you own a house, that come out of money you already paid them, going right back to you. If you're a smoker, I guess you pay a little bit more. And I never am a big fan of these plans of economic development and education-based initiatives, because that just means the money going right back to them as well. Because I think in Rosewood, they got reparations, and their form of reparation was free schooling locally. I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, but how you feel about that? And then look how they spent the money. Like, it was just enough to, like say, fix up a house or get a car. Even the woman said she put her aside for grandkids and great grandkids. That's not a lot of money. And my thing is, like, what was the impact of this when they see reparations? Like, we always see the conversation about getting cash reparations, and we never had that broader conversation or that deeper conversation about it. And my thing, okay, they got cash money. What was the impact? Or, tell me, what's the difference between a $25,000 reparation check and a stimulus check? Because it seemed like that's all it really was for them, to be honest. I don't see it was being a real big difference, you know. And but sometimes I'll be, this is a small area. This is just a suburb, but even you think broader and think on a national level of reparations, and don't get me wrong, we are old reparations, and I'm a firm believer we're going to get reparations. It is how I feel that we're going to get reparations is totally different from what the conversation you're having with other creators, or people who could be within the FBA and other groups. what they feel like the reparations is going to be, because most of them are just asking for, they ask for a check. And to me, I just feel like you're cutting yourself short, and that's all you're asking for. Because to me, that's nothing, you know. But I also got to think about it too. That, what was the impact? To me, that's 200 people plus. They're going to receive these $25,000 checks. It's not going to leave any additional impact into the neighborhood, because it's just enough to do something for themselves. That's for one. And then, you also have to think about who we dealing with. We in America, we in Babylon, and if you familiar with the history of Babylon and how they operate, then you know that you can't rally yourself into reparations. You can rally up and down the street. They're not going to give you reparations like that. You can't vote yourself out of oppression. It doesn't work like that. If you really knew American history, then you know that if you want them to do right by you, you have to force their hand. And like, a rally or not voting or anything like that is not forcing their hand. Like, you really had to force it. I really want y'all to think about that. What would it take for them to pay you or to pay us? Like, what type of condition, like, you really had to force their hand. Like, I'm not trying to get demonetized, but I just want you to really just think about that, right? And I just feel like, um, and what would happen? You have a whole bunch of money just flooding the country like that. Like we seen how the hyperinflation the past few years. You know what I mean? So it's like we asking for cash reparations in the U.S. dollar. How much is that dollar worth? How much value would it have after you gave every Black American a check? Let's just say up to a quarter million. Yeah, 250,000. Like, say every Black American, no matter what your status, you're in jail or not, drug addict, clean cut citizen, doesn't matter. Black American, you got $250,000. And how you think they're going to affect the market? How you think it affect the value of the dollar? I would even think about back in the Civil War, when the Confederacy had their own separate currency. And once they lost the war, they'll burn their money up to stay warm in the wintertime. It was worth anything. So, my thing is, like, you get this US dollar, to get this cash reparations, how much will it really be worth? I think a lot of people think that, like, say, they cut you a check for a $250,000, that's really not a lot of money. It's up and even higher. Let's just say it's $500,000. A lot of people think they can just take the $500,000 and, get a house, build a business or whatever, and life is great. And then next thing you know, you up there, upper class all of a sudden. And that's not how things work. We got to think deeper than that. you know. And then you got to think about how would America respond to it. Like, 'cause even here in this local situation in Evanston, you already had a conservative group suing them for discrimination for handing out reparations. That's probably what the best case scenario for them, because we know our history. You can go back to Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Oklahoma, like how that played out. Like, that will more likely happen today than them just suing if that much money flooded the market, flooded the country to Black Americans. And how would you prepare for that? How would you respond to that? How would you protect your finances because of that? How would the bank respond to that? It's so much. Like, it's all I'm saying is it's a much broader conversation that needs to be had, more than just, hey, cash money, rah rah rah, and that's it. Like, just really think about this a little bit more. But Keith and I, we Israelites, so we have a different we had a different perspective on reparations, and I feel like our form of reparations is going to be so much more. And I feel like you see an example of that in the Old Testament, where everybody knows the story of Moshe leading the people out of Egypt into the wilderness, into the promised land. And but for most people who are Christian, that's all they know, because Sunday church don't teach you all the nitty gritty details, because it's compromised. It's taught from a white perspective. But the Bible constantly teaches separation, where the church and everywhere else teach you inclusion and togetherness, and it doesn't work like that. But anyway, like, when Moshe led the Israelites out of Egypt, they received reparations for Egypt. That's the part they'll teach you in church. The Egyptians gave the Israelite reparations as they left out of there. They didn't give reparations for the Egyptians and stayed there in Egypt. No, they got the reparations and left out of there. And for what Black Americans are saying, and I'm just generally speaking, they want to get a cash money check and stay here. It doesn't work that wouldn't work. What would be the impact of that? Because then you're saying they give you a fat check, hopefully, and you hoping that the American dollar won't devalue and be worth nothing. But let's say it somehow kept its value, and you want to stay here and ball out. What else changed? The people who still running this country are still in power. Is like I hear no conversation, no rhetoric about kicking these people out of here. You know, because they're not foundational Black American. They are immigrants here. You know, the mayonnaise people, the imposters who run every segment of our government in our society. They the ones that own our music that we fight so much about. You know, like this is some things that's really just to think about. And my thing is, what should we really have? A check here in America? Who think got better reparations? The Israelites coming out of Egypt, which they got golden syrup. They got a lot of valuable stuff coming out of Egypt. Unfortunately, our ancestors didn't always make the best decisions. They took all that. They took the gold and melted it down, and they molded a golden calf and started worshiping the calf, which proved that even though you took them out of Egypt, they still had a slave mind state. Which is funny enough that we still had a problem. Sad that we still had a problem today, where many of us still had a slave mindset because we want to get reparations and stay here, and thinking all will be fine and dandy. We don't want to burn down the plantation. We just want better plantation conditions, and that's a problem I have when I hear the reparation conversations within our community. And I challenge any of y'all that, yo, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong for thinking like this. Let me know, like, because I really feel like you're asking for too little. I think you feel you owed a lot more, and you're thinking too small. And I really feel like you don't want to leave an impact. You don't want power, because money without the power is nothing. I know a bunch of Black people with money with no power. You look at any celebrity you see out there, any Black celebrity, they got a bunch of money and no power. And most of these Black celebrities, they are still being controlled. They can't say what they want. They have to dress a certain way. Like, they still taking orders. They don't own anything. They don't run anything. They live nicer, but that's it. I mean, but that what you want? That's your form of reparations, is to live like LeBron or I don't know, like any famous actor or star athlete. Like, that's your version of reparations. Is that what you envision as a person who receives reparations? It's a big nice house in America and still living under the same system. That's not what I want. I want something much greater than that. And let's talk land. Because I see a lot of people, especially like FBA and a couple of other groups, where they feel like, just give us southeastern states and we create our own nation from there. But my thing is, if you claim to build this whole country up, why are you not demanding the whole country? Why are you settling for just a piece of it? Why not aim for the whole thing and kicking out the people who's not foundational here? I never hear that smoke for these other people. It's always like you compromising with them. I'm like, I can stay here, just give a small piece of it. But how you have all the rhetoric for the immigrants here, and you don't have that same smoke for these mayonnaise people here, or the imposters? Where's the smoke at for that? Why you not? Where's the rhetoric to keep them out of here and get the whole land, get the whole country? If you really want to stay here, and you still want to have things in control here, why not overturn all that and get them out of here? I'm trying to be careful with my words here. That's why I'm taking these pauses here. Like I said, me and Keith's trying to get better at trying not to get banned on the channel this year. But yeah, like where's the smoke at for that? I want answers. Let me know in the comments. Like, let me know, like, why you only asking for a small piece of it? Why not ask for the whole thing? Why not kicking these other people out of here? Why are you not envisioning a nation of just us here? If that's the case, if you really believe that you're really from here, this is our land, this is ours, and why just kicking out the Hispanics or the Haitians or people from Sudan? Like, why not kicking all these people out and just be just us? Yeah, you notice that people who leading this rhetoric, leading these conversations, they never having smoke for these other people though. Never, you know. And but my thing is, I go back to the Bible here. When they came out of Egypt and they went to the wilderness for 40 years to become a nation, then they went to a promised land. They went to a land of milk and honey. They went to a land of value. All right. And there's two things to get from this. One, that anybody who had a slave mindset in the Bible who came out of Egypt died in the wilderness. They were not allowed in the promised land because, like I said, they came out there and made a golden calf from the Egyptian culture. Like they said, a slave mentality, and they were begging to go back soon as they left out of there. Because they're too comfortable on the plantation. They didn't want to be. They really didn't want to be free. They just wanted better conditions. Same, I feel like a lot of us want here right now. We just want better conditions. So all of them had to die out there in the wilderness. It was their descendants that went into the promised land and they fought for it. And that's another thing. Every piece of valuable land is owned by someone. So even back then, when they wanted to get the promised land, we all hear in Sunday church, God gonna take us to the promised land. Well, that land was not empty. That land was controlled by three African kingdoms there, and we had to force them out that land for us to have it. Yeah, it was given to us. We were blessed and taken over, but it wasn't just an empty, beautiful, empty land, fertile land that nobody just wasn't touching. Like, no, we had to fight for that. It was bloody. It was violent. So, like, do we think about that in terms of today? If you want your own land today, you want to have your own place to call your own. Or do you know the cost of that? This is not a rally. This is not coming down to a vote. You know, there's this no one in history have overtaken their oppressors by being nice to them. They took it back the same way they were taken from them. And I hope you all can read between the lines here. You know, so but yeah, because to me, true reparations is money and land to govern yourself. I don't want this money and still be under the same system. That's not power. That is a stimulus check. They're going right back to them. But look at the imposters. Look at what they did. They got reparations, and they get and what they do. It's amazing how. I don't know if I really just thought about this. And it's just a brief history of how they did things. Now, 6 million of them have been deleted in World War II. 6 million, which would mean like allegedly almost wiped them out, right? And then this is like 1945, right? The state of Israel was created in 1948. How in 3 years they had the manpower, the money, the weapons to go in and take over the land they're in today? I mean, you supposed to be like victims, POWs that barely survived, and somehow you just overtook. Have you really thought about that? And then you really think about that, they should have got the reparations from Germany because they're the ones that put them through it. Palestine had nothing to do with it. So why did they get the reparations from Germany? And that's a lot of them are from. But you see what I'm saying? They getting reparations and they're leaving to start they have their own land to govern themselves. They're not getting a check and staying where they are. Is a reason why they moved away, because the how it's supposed to work. But we want to stay here because we're comfortable here, and we say we're braggadocious and how we in the best place ever and this, that, and the third. But we brag so much by living in a place that we own nothing of. Yeah, okay, you get a check, but what do you own? Tell me in the comments. Tell me. I mean, you brag about so much about how we built this country up. No, yeah, we did. But what do we own? Tell me one industry that we own. Tell me one industry that we gatekeeping that people had to go through us to, to get a service or product out of us. Name one. Just one. I can't think of any. I can't think of anything. You brag so much about things, yeah, and we have accomplished a lot of things. Our ancestors accomplished a lot of different things. But if you look at it today, you look at 2025, what do we own? To be bragging so much about it. Waving the flag of people that had us enslaved. The Confederate flag never bothered me because the Confederacy only lasted 5 years. Slavery lasted 400. So what flag was being waved the other 395 years? That's all I'm saying. Let's dig a little bit deeper than that, you know? And then you got to think about, we tell people like, yo, go back to your land, this, that, and the third. But yo, the reason why they're even over here because we in their land, destabilizing their economies by design to bring them over here. Well, Babylon bringing them over here to replace us. Only reason we got the comfort in what we have today in America because of all the damage and the atrocities we are accomplishing overseas. If every country in the world tomorrow woke up and they say, you know what, F the US, they telling us to go back to our land. Everybody's, say when they think about us, we think about them. F the US and their dollar. We would instantly become a third world country overnight. Literally. The only reason we had the conference that we have right now because the US dollar is the world reserve. It's the world reserve currency. That's the only reason. Because we don't have that. That dollar is not worth anything. And we're a third world country at that point. And don't think the other nations don't know that. It's a thing called BRICS. I don't know if y'all heard of it. BRICS is out there. They've been plotting and planning for decades. They still planning because they tired of America weaponizing the dollar. Biden did it. Trump is doing it now. They getting tired of being bullied. So you got these nations already coming together to make their own currency to take over the US dollar. And if they successful in doing that, nobody don't want to be here. They wouldn't want to come here. They want to stay at home. At that point, all the wealth would transfer it over back to them. If we are so great, if our land is so valuable, why are we always over there, taking over other people's land? You would see them come over here trying to hijack the land and natural resources. All the natural resources over there in Africa. The most valuable parts of it, the majority of it is in Africa. That's why we over there. Why a lot of people not why we sticking here? We have, last time I checked, we have over 700 military bases around the world. Over 700. Now, if any other country would attempt to have done anything like that, they would be shamed and called evil, this, that, and the third. But Babylon is a new Roman Empire. We have to have those bases around the world to keep civilization here, of what we have here. Because if we don't have that, this place is done. And I don't think a lot of y'all even know that. It's imperialism. It's not democracy. It's imperialism. And because of the way things are stretched out, this place is eventually going to fall the same way as the Roman Empire did. People really don't think the U.S. can lose. We've been losing for decades. I can't think of the last time we won a war. There's a reason why you don't hear people talk about the Korean War. We didn't win it. They didn't win the Vietnam War. This is the most powerful nation in the world with the most firepower and money and all this, that, and the third, and we couldn't take out people in the jungle going low tech. And we see that even now today. And you look at Gaza, they getting carpet bombed over there, and they've been carpet bombed over there for over a year now, and they still can't take them out. Gaza is not that big. Gaza is a small strip of land there, and they still can't take them out. No matter how much missiles and dropping bombs on them, they can't get rid of them. They built different. And I think, I know we've been kind of been spoiled over here because, we never had to wake up and worry about foreign troops walking out on our streets and taking over our neighborhoods. So it's easy to talk your ish, because we never experienced these things. But don't think it can't happen, because it can, And think about it like this too. Like, let's say BRICS becomes successful, kills the U.S. dollar, which makes the U.S. dollar here worthless. We got all the allies, people respecting us now. You think they're gonna respect us then? When the US dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency, what else do you think is gonna happen? All the people, all the countries the US has bullied and took over and destabilized and all types of atrocities. What do you think is gonna happen? Even within our own so-called allies. Are they? Do you think France and England and the rest of these places are friends with the U.S. because they just really buddy buddy, or they just friends with them because they know the America is the one in power for now? But once America loses that top spot, you think they still gonna be down for America? Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, every country wants the top spot. The U.S. doesn't happen to be the one to have it right now. It is some things just really just think about here, because I really don't think we really think about these things. And like I said, just having a broader conversation about things. Like I just going deeper than, I just want the cash. I just want the cash reparations. There's so much more at play here, and yes, and it involves countries around the world in this too. It's not just a local issue here. It involves the world because this is how the U.S. operates, and I don't really think that we really think about it. And so basically, I want y'all to get from this is, like, I want you to really think about, you really have the real deep conversation with yourself. What reparations really supposed to look like? What did it really look like for you? Now, you may be okay with just getting like a little stimulus check and then staying here. You may be fine with that. I mean, if that's what it is, let me know. Let me know in the comments. If that's all you want, is a nice fat check in the U.S. dollar and staying here in America. Let me know in the comments. Cool. Or do you think you own a lot more than that? Like, you never imagine yourself having your own country and governing yourself when it's just us and doing right by people, where you live in a land where, um, excuse me, like you don't even need a lawyer to figure out what these laws are. Like, it's just cutting. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a righteous nation. It's just, which is not here, because this is a country where you can get off with anything depending on who you know, no matter how bad you are. We see that happen all the time, you know. So like, I just want you to think about it. 'Cause, like, yes, we deserve reparations, but really just think about the broader conversation of that. And, like I say, I know some of y'all don't believe in the Bible, but the Bible shows us how reparations is supposed to look. Is money and land to govern yourselves. What is money still? What is money if you living under the same people that you still living under the same people that hate you and they still have control over you? They can still move you out your neighborhood if they want to. We did a live stream about 3 years ago about the U.S. interstate system that's so convenient for us. A lot of people still don't know that a lot of the interstates were built on old black neighborhoods. They were forced out to build these interstates. Can't think about it, the land had to come from somewhere. They never went to Buckhead or went to a Flu neighborhood like, hey, y'all need to move out. We build an interstate here so we can get across the country faster. Ah, to show you how it's levels to this. It's so much deeper than this. It's so much more to this, and that we really had to think about. You know, yeah. And also, let me know in the comments, what do we, for you to brag about being American so much? Tell me, what do we own here in America? Tell me one industry, this one, that we gatekeeping. This one. Because as far as I'm concerned, we the only people in this country that we don't even control our own neighborhoods. When I go to the Hispanic neighborhood, I see nothing but Hispanic businesses. If I go to the Indian neighborhood, I'll see nothing but Indian businesses there. When I go to a black neighborhood, I see everybody else setting up shop in our neighborhood but us. If we do have something, either something, a beauty salon or a tire place, that's about it. We don't really run it compared to, like, Black Wall Street. We had all those different things, different type of businesses, and self-sufficient. We're not self-sufficient now. What power do you have right now? If these people would have wake up and say they want to take us out tomorrow, we brag about, like, yeah, we carrying this, that, and the third, but they don't have to fight you directly. They just cut off your supply line. No, they just cut off your food for a while. You already got food deserts in the neighborhood already. Like this just show you how vulnerable that we really are right now. Like, yo, we're talking so much crap online, but like, yo, like, there's so much we gotta do within ourselves that we need to work on and think about and build upon. It's too much. Be worried about what other people, coming here for. We know why people coming here for. Because the American went going over there, messing up their homes on purpose to make them flee over here. I don't think people just really think about, oh, maybe they don't want to think about that. They just think, oh, we just wake up and come to America. Like, no, America be infiltrating elections over there. They be taking out leaders over there. They be taking out money and resources and land over there, forcing them to come over here so they can replace us. They Between immigrants and technology, they really trying to have no need for us. That's the greater plan. But you're so busy fighting, talking about other immigrants coming here, and not the people who putting this plan in motion, who setting all this up. There's no smoke for them. I wonder why. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, on the article. Um, I mean, and that's, like, at least they got something, right? They got 25,000. And but unfortunately, they couldn't get more than that. But what can they really do with that? And these are from people who are being responsible with the money, I guess you can say. They're getting some things that they need. But like, yeah, us, it could be some people out there, that's one day in the mall. Gone. Easy. That is one down payment on a car and it's done. you know? So like you can't buy a car straight out with that check. But anyway, I appreciate y'all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, getting value out of this. And I catch you on the next one. Later.